Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Women in Trades, the 4%. My name is Hunter. I'm also known as Some Welding Girl on social media, and I'm a journeyman pipe fitter and pipe welder. And I wanted to create this podcast to highlight all the different badass women who work in blue collar fields. And so to start off our first episode, we are going to have the blonde welder here with us. She is a structural iron worker, and she is going to start off by telling us how long she's been in the trade and a little bit about her job.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Very excited to be your first guest.
Same.
This is super awesome that you're finally starting a podcast and being a voice for the women in the trade. So I'm so pumped for you.
I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you. So my name is the Blonde Welder. I am 23. I live in Canada, specifically Kamloops, BC. It's a smaller city in like central BC, so it's really good for work because I'm close to the coast and I'm also close to up north, which is mainly where I've been working for the past couple years. So I started as a welder, and I did like a 6.5 months foundation welding program when I was 18. And then after that, I just started working in shops doing MIG welding, welding truck trailer parts, and then some structural steel. And then I got laid off from that, which was actually like probably the best thing for me at the time. Like layoffs to some people seem like a world ender, like you want to cry, oh, you've just been fired, but like it can actually open so many doors to like moving on with your career. And at the time, I didn't know that. And that's what got me into structural ironworking. Because from there, I got my first construction job, which I like at the time I was still just like a shop welder, so I didn't know what I did. Was so scared. I was literally so scared, but they said show up with a hard hat, high vis, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. So I was like, great. So I showed up and I started stick welding, and they were like, you're pretty good considering. So then they just threw me up and started like making me like put up steel with one of the journeymen. His name was Corey, and he ended up being one of my like best buddies. He taught me everything I needed to know. He just took me under his wing, and he was my first journeyman ironworker. And from there, he helped me get jobs, and I just started moving from different sites that were hiring young apprentices, and I ended up doubling, yeah, like pretty much doubling like my salary from what I made in a shop. And then yeah, I just started learning how to connect steel. And then I started working industrial out of town jobs, that was like a huge switch for me, like a pivotal like turning point in my career and in my life. Had my entire I was working where I grew up. I was like isolated to my kind of city and just like my home life, and moving away for work was like a huge step in my life. And I ended up that's when I like lost all my friends, or I should say weeded out my friends. Working out of town is a really good way to find out who your real friends are,
Yeah.
because I went from having like a big group of girls that I like partied with all the time to like not a single one of them talked to me. Like
Yeah.
even my own roommate at the time, she didn't even call me once. Like it was sad. It was so sad to watch everyone I thought was like my friend really like I weeded out the fake ones. And isolating myself in a small town in the middle of northern Alberta with nobody around me, no family, just a bunch of men. I was building a grain elevator, and it was a new
Okay. Yeah.
build. Yeah, it was a new build, so I was there for like 8 months and just yeah, by myself, but I learned so much, met new people, really got a feel of what it was like to be like in the trade, like working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, like no days off. Well, I worked for like 3 weeks on, 1 week off, but most of us would just stay and work for
Right.
like, they didn't make you go home. Like there was no laws. They didn't make you go home. So some of us would work for like 6 to 7 to 8 weeks at a time, and like, well, crazy money. But as a young, like I was still 21. As a 21-year-old, like
A baby.
such a shock culture from going from like being with all your friends to all of a sudden you're just with men, adults all the time. They're not your friends. Like they don't care about you. It's yeah, it was crazy. But and then I ended up coming home for a bit, working in town again, commercial. Like I was building a hospital. I actually built the I was we were renovating the hospital that I was born at, which was super cool. Like full circle life moment there. And then that's when I really realized that I hated working commercial. Like I hated working in town, like 40 hours a week. Like I hated that. It just wasn't for me. The money was shit and just I don't know, going home after like 8 hours seems so pointless. Like I feel like I have so much more time of my day to keep working and I don't know. I don't have my own welder yet, unfortunately. Like I don't have my own like my passion is my job. So if I'm going home and I don't have things like that to do around home, I'm so bored. Like I want to keep welding or keep doing stuff like that. I really need to get my own welder. I need to do that.
I know, me too. I'm trying to get my home shop set up, but it's so expensive. Like, I
Right?
have to run power out to my garage and stuff still, but
Yeah.
we're getting there.
Yeah, definitely on my list of things to get in the next like 6 months. I really need a welder for sure. Well, I want to get a rig going soon. Like that's on
The
my next
goal.
goal. Yeah, that's my next goal. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm in welding school right now. I am doing my B level. So, for the last like I feel like a lot of people think I'm like a journeyman, but I'm not yet. I've just been
Yeah,
doing the trade for so long and never went back to school because it's hard. I didn't have a great home life. I didn't have parents. I don't have a relationship with either of my parents that I can
me
just like
either.
yeah. So I can't just like go live at home and like live for free and go to school. It's been so hard to try and get it done because B level's 4 months and it's 4 months you're not working. Like so it's hard to
Are
save. So
you in a union currently?
I am not.
Okay, neither am I.
Yeah, no. I tried the union life. I hate talking about the union because they scare the shit out of me, but I tried the union life for like 10 months and I really hated the mentality. I didn't like coming to work in the morning and being told to make coffee or take out
Mm,
the trash or clean the trailer or basically just do anything that's not my job.
yeah,
And I hated that. I hated that they just dog on apprentices and treat them like literal shit. Well, I had to go through it when I was your age. Why? Why are we normalizing treating people like shit on the job site?
yeah. I
So,
definitely went through that, but I feel like it's because I work for like a smaller company, and also I feel like it's because I'm a woman and I didn't know anything, so they were like, "We can bully you," but like once
yeah.
I proved my own, and I do feel like the culture, at least at my company, has changed regarding treatment of apprentices because you don't get a good turnout rate that way.
No.
Like nobody wants to work for you if you treat your employees like shit, no matter how new they are. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. What when you started out, were you in the union?
No, I've never been in a union. I've had a lot of offers to go
Yeah.
to the union, and I'm just overall, I'm very happy where I'm at, and I get paid a very fair wage. That's one thing that I like about not being in the union is that your wage reflects your work. Not everyone is paid the same. So if someone on your job site literally does nothing all day, their wage likely reflects that. That's not always true, but like, you know,
Yeah, I agree with that because that was like one of my biggest pet peeves as well, is because there would be apprentices or just, I guess, just people who did like significantly less the amount of work that I did, and they were getting paid either the same or more than me, and it drove me nuts because, like, I'm not trying to like sound cocky or anything, but I am good at my job. I'm a great connector, I'm a great welder, and I just know that there are so many people that were not like up to my level and they were getting the same or more, and I was like it drove me nuts. And actually when I left that union job and went back to like just working as a contractor, I'm pretty sure I got like a $4 to $6 raise going from non-union. And the union people's argument is always, oh well, the union exists so that your wage is what it is or whatever. And it's like, I don't think so, because I've had to work to get to my wage. Like I
That's
started,
true.
I started where I started at $20 an hour, like everybody else, and
Yep.
worked my way up. Do
Because
you?
not everyone deserves the
Not
same.
everybody deserves it. Exactly. Like I've met journeymen, ironworkers, journeyman welders who are just like the stupidest thing to walk around, and I could literally weld circles around them.
Yeah.
But because they're union, they get to sit so comfy. They never get laid off. They're old timers. There's a lot of lazy old timers. Let's be real, who
Yeah.
have gotten
I
by in
did
the
my
union.
time.
Yeah, who have
Yep.
gotten by in the union and been lazy. I did my time,
Exactly.
literally.
Yep.
So yeah,
That's so real.
I really did not enjoy being in the union, and it sucks because I'm actually going to ironworking school next year, and I'm going to be moving to Edmonton, Alberta, and there is an ironworkers union hall in Edmonton, Alberta, and I would love to just have my school covered and just like but I don't want to play their game. I don't want to play their game, because I
Right.
know that if I wanted to, have my school covered by them and do the apprenticeship or whatever, yeah, it would be saving me money, but then I would have to play their game, and I don't want to play their stupid politics bullshit. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really something that I know it depends on the area too. Like, of course,
For
some
sure.
unions are going to be better than others. And
Hmm.
in the states, like, our Republican states generally don't have very strong unions, and our Democratic states do. So it
I
really just
actually
depends.
never, sorry to interrupt you, I never even like thought that would, I never thought that would, politics would make a difference on that. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
In the states it definitely does. Like I live in Michigan, and a
Uh-huh.
lot of the unions in Michigan are pretty strong and they pay really well. But I looked at the unions like in Texas, which is a Republican state, for example, and their unions are not like well paying at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like the wages will be literally half of what a Democratic states would be.
Can I ask what the union journeyman rate is for welders in Michigan? Do you
In
know?
Michigan right now, in my local and in most of the locals in mid-Michigan where I'm at is 40, 60 an hour, but they are like getting $2 raises every year for like the next 4 or 5 years, I think.
Okay, that's not bad.
So, yeah, they at least have that going for
Yeah,
them.
no, that's not bad. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely heard of journeymen getting paid lower. So yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
And well, like back to what you were saying, like about wages and stuff. When being non-union, what I will say is that I had to fight for a good wage.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
they
You have to.
literally, especially as a woman, like
Hmm.
if you start out at a low wage and you don't know anything and you need to learn, that's one thing. But once you learn, you definitely need to make sure that you're compensated fairly, especially like compared to your male coworkers.
Yeah, well, because that's the downside to non-union is the wage gap exists still.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, but for me, like it was like I stayed humble when I started, I guess, because I
Same.
was focusing on more of getting like the experience and like getting my name out there and getting my foot in the door and just like learning, rather than like being that person that's like right out of school I have to go get a $30 an hour job or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so so prior to me doing my welding school, I was a laborer when I was like 17 in high school, because I wanted to just start getting in. I always knew I wanted to be in the trades. So I just started trying to getting into it as young as possible. And so I started laboring. I was making $25 an hour as a laborer. So I
That's
knew
pretty good
already.
money.
Was that?
And that's pretty good money.
Exactly. I just
Yeah.
happened to work for a pretty wealthy contractor, and it just worked out. And I showed up every day. I worked hard, and so it was worth it. And so that kind of gave me like a basis of like, okay, this is the money that is achievable. Now that's why I say I had to stay humble when I first started welding, because I knew that like the 25 an hour, $30 an hour jobs, I'm not going to get that right away as a newbie coming out of welding school. And I think that's unfortunately where a lot of people get misled sometimes with the trades. Is the average, I don't know what the minimum wage is in the States or if it's different in each state, but I know the minimum wage in BC right now is like $15, $16 an hour. So a $20 an hour job is still above what most average people are making. And so you just like, you have to start low and work your way up. That's just how it is. Unless, even, I'm pretty sure if you go to the union and you're a level 1, like 0 experience, I'm pretty sure you're getting dog shit pay too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty much, it's like,
yeah,
I want to say here it's right around like 18 to 20 an hour for like your very first year. And
yeah.
just like you said, I get, especially like being on social media, I get people that message me and they have zero experience actually
Mm-hmm.
like working in the field or anything. And they expect to make like 40 an hour, like their first job at 18 years old. And I'm like, you might get lucky. Like there is
You
like
might.
small chance, but like you really do have to at least prove yourself and get some
Yeah.
experience. Like
Yeah. And
that's so real.
even to this day, like unfortunately, still my wage still fluctuates. Like if there's just not a, if there isn't like, because the customer has to bid for the job, and they usually bid really low, and then the way that they make more money or get the contract is they pick up other jobs that other companies aren't doing good on. You know what I mean? So they hire people the lowest they can, and then they start, okay, well, we need more people, we can start hiring apprentices, we can start hiring, non-journeyman people, and then that's where you start making a little bit more money. But like especially for like new jobs, companies are going to bid low and they're going to hire lower like wage people. And so I was making, like, I'll just give you an example. I was making $42 an hour on a job a few months ago, and then the next job, not the same company, but just like next job that was available for me, I was making $35 an hour. Like, it's just how it is. They didn't want to pay me anymore, and I needed a job. So, like, it is what it is, right? Now, I wouldn't go that low going forward, but unfortunately, like, your wage will fluctuate in the industry, and that's just like how it is for some people, like me. And that's the non-union. But the downside to being union is like if I was in the union at that time and I went from that, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I wanted to quit that job, that $42 an hour job. I wanted to quit that job. I wasn't happy there. And if I was in the union as an apprentice, I know that I would have been stuck there. Apprentices aren't allowed
Right.
to quit jobs, and I wouldn't have been able to move the way that I did. And I love being able to move the way I do. And that's something I would not want to give up. I don't care if I'm making $14 an hour or $37 an hour. I want to be able to live my life how I want, and that's not something I could do in the union.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to have some freedom and some choice and some
Yeah.
say about what goes on with your career for sure.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, our jobs also fluctuate in pay, but it mostly depends like on if it's a federal job or for like a city or the
mm-hmm.
government or something. Like they call them federal prevailing wage. Those jobs will always pay a lot more. Like
Yeah.
even our apprentices, non-union, are making like 40 an hour out
That's
there on
really
those.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's life-changing money for those
Right?
kids. And then the journeyman, like especially the old guys, like are mad about it and want to hate on them, and it's like, dude, be happy for people. Like
Yeah.
they're finally like getting over kind of on the company and on the man a little bit, like be
Yeah.
happy for them, because if I had that as an apprentice, that would have been life changing for
Oh,
me.
I know it. And you always get those old timers that are like, "Oh, when I was at your level, I was making $15 an hour." Okay, well, sorry, we're not in 1905 anymore.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit I started at 13 an hour, but like I'm very open about the fact that I knew nothing. Like I
hmm
was literally, I didn't even know how to run a drill. Like they taught me
Yeah.
all that my first day. And that's why I encourage women to join the trades, because I'm like, if I could learn that at 21 years old, like, you can too. Like,
For sure. No, me too. I'm like, when I started, like, I took the help that was like provided, I guess. Like, I took the women in trades courses. I took the like, I got hired as a laborer. Like, I tried to set myself up so that, like, that shock kind of factor when you first start in the trades is like gone, I guess. Because I'll like one of the biggest issues, even I still deal with it, is like dealing with the men. And I feel like, whether some people may disagree, but I truly think that the biggest obstacle in this industry is the men. It's not the job, it's not the labor, it's not the school, it's the men. And like, I started working as a parts driver for like car parts, and I
mhm.
started selling car parts. And so of course I was like the token little blonde girl working in a store of men, and I was 17, and none of the men took me seriously. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they only hired me because I was pretty. Like, I don't know. And so I dealt with like the not getting taken seriously for many years before I even entered the trades, really. So I kind of like conditioned myself almost that by the time I was put into like a welding shop, I was okay. And
Yeah.
not saying that it's okay what happens. Like, my first welding job in the truck trailer shop, I had that job for 3 months. And the reason that I quit my 3 month mark was because I found out that one of the supervisors was going and showing everyone in the shop my Instagram and like my bikini photos, being like, oh, look at the new girl or whatever. Look at her. She's so hot. And like going and like, one of my bros that I worked with told me this. I didn't find out till 3 months into me working there. And I was mortified. And I shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have been. That wasn't my fault. Like, nothing I could have done other than maybe put my Instagram private could have prevented that. But why should I
Well,
have to,
you
like,
shouldn't have
you
to.
shouldn't have to.
Women shouldn't have to. Like, men should not do that at work.
No.
Like, they shouldn't do it in general, but especially in a workplace. Like, come on.
Especially since I was like 19, and that was like one of my first jobs. I was such a baby.
And the worst part is, they almost always have a daughter your age
Oh, yeah.
too. And it's like, okay, how
Mhm.
would you like it if I started talking to your daughter like that? Or if I started showing all the guys your daughter's bikini pictures? Because
Yeah.
that's one way that I do deal with the harassment or anything in the workplace. Like, I will bring their families into it. I'll bring up their wife. I'll be showing everyone I'll be like, look, here's his wife. Like, look at, she's in a bikini on Facebook. Why are you talking about me? Like,
Dude, yeah. I hit him with the same thing. I'm like, do you talk to your daughter like that? Or would you be okay if a man was treating your daughter how you're treating me right now? And
and then
normally they're
you're
just
always
like,
just like
whoa,
speechless.
cat's got your tongue?
The
Yeah.
man is too stunned to speak.
A man is too sudden to speak. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not so funny when the roles are reversed, is it?
No, and it's funny because like now I wish I had the confidence that I had, or sorry, I wish I had the confidence then that I do now.
Yeah.
Because I'm way better at standing up for myself now. Well, I'm seasoned. I've been in it long enough to know how to navigate, and I unfortunately had to make mistakes to learn. This is a great segue. Women, do not date your coworkers. Ooh,
Ever.
no. I If I can give like one solid piece of advice to any woman getting in the trades, do not flirt, do not have sex, do not date, do not try and think that you're going to marry anyone that you work with. I unfortunately was so young and dumb and naive that and working out of town too, I sought comfort out of people that I shouldn't have. And I would, click really well with a guy on my crew. And, then we would flirt, and then it would always get out of hand, and then it would always bite me in the ass. Every single time. Every single time it has bit me in the ass. And I really, really had to learn the hard way. And I thank God that I'm not even a journeyman yet. I will be soon, but I do kind of hear that once you're a journeyman, everyone kind of forgets really how you were as an apprentice. Like you build your new name off being a journeyman. And I like would try and not like try, but I would end up becoming close with a guy that I worked with, and then it would turn into a relationship. And no matter how much you try and keep it private, it never works. And everyone will find out. And then you're no longer, the name that you tried to build for yourself is gone. You're no longer like the welder, or you're no longer like a worker. To them, you're a whore. You're just that guy's girl or that guy's
Yeah.
lady. You know what I mean? And you lose like that credibility and that respect that the crew has given you. And it took me so long to realize that. It took me so long to realize like these guys aren't my friends. They're not supporting this relationship. They're clowning you. They're clowning you. And they're talking crap about you every day. And I really had to lose something in the process for me to actually realize that. And that was a job that I had. I really liked this job. It was one of the highest paying jobs I had. Great LOA in the most beautiful place ever I ever worked. And I had dated a guy previously that I'd broken up with. And so this was my first job where I was like, I'm not going to date anyone. I'm going to stay away from everyone. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm here to work. Truly. That was always my intention coming to work, was to work. I would just get carried away because you work with people, you get close with people, things happen, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
And like we're all human, and like we're attractive young girls. Like we have guys coming at us from every angle.
And especially when you're with them for 12, 10, even 8 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
And like you said, working out of town, like you build connections with these people. Like on some
Yeah.
level, it's inevitable. You end up building a connection
Yeah.
of some type with these people.
Yeah. And for me, just being so young and just lonely and naive, I
Yeah.
just sought comfort out of the worst people. And so this job specifically, I was doing great, and then I had this guy that I worked with approach me. We were hitting it off really well, like good buddies. And he approached me. Like he came to me, and that's where I thought it was like different. Because I didn't seek it. He sought me out, and he was like, basically like I'll give you everything you want, and like I'll be your best friend type shit. And so I fell for it, and it ended up getting messy, and I basically ended up losing that job, and I really loved that job. And that right there was the turning point where I told myself, I'm going to start running into these people again. Like I'm going to get my journeyman name soon. Like it's going to start getting around what I'm doing, and I have to fucking stop
Yeah.
because I really liked this job, and I would consider myself like just losing this job now because of this man that I thought was more important than this job. Didn't have my priorities straight, and it bit me in the ass. And I hate that it happened, but at the same time I'm grateful that it happened because I'll never do it again.
You learn
And
from it.
I learned from it in such a bad way, but I had to, because
Yeah.
now as a 23-year-old, unfortunately it's taken 5 years of me being in the trade to finally realize like I don't need to be with someone that I work with. And I think a lot of it comes from, and maybe some other women can agree, but I think a lot of it comes from when I was first starting out in the trades. I was young and I wanted that validation. I wanted like that. And you see it all the time on TikTok of girls being like, if you're ever insecure, just join the trades because the men will make you feel so good about yourself because they hit on you every day. And like that's almost kind of like the mentality I had when I was younger. I'm like, yeah, because my first boyfriend I ever had was someone I worked with at the parts store. And that fundamentally changed me as a 17-year-old. So it almost validated like what I was thinking, and that like the men at work, that's where I got the attention. That's where I got the validation, was from the men at work, because
Yeah.
I wasn't the prettiest girl in high school. I'm 6 foot tall. I was always, made fun of for being tall and lanky. And so I didn't once I started working with adults and I was no longer seen as like a child or like whatever, as in like this ugly little girl, men started seeing me for like this beautiful young woman. Well, obviously we all know what they wanted, but
Yeah.
at the time it healed that part of me that like needed that validation. But now, as a 23-year-old, I don't want that anymore and I don't need it. And that's why I'm honestly so repulsed by it and why it's taken me so long to learn that that's not the type of relationship I want. That's not the type of man I want, is someone that will seek me out at work. And also
Yeah.
too, because none of those relationships worked out in my favor. Yeah. It's taken me a long time to realize, but yeah, the validation that I was once seeking, I don't seek that anymore. And I'm able to really focus on my job now in a way that I never really was before. And I'm excited. I'm excited
Yeah.
for the next job. That
Yeah,
was
the
long. That was long.
validation. No, that's okay. The validation, but I think it's also kind of a beautiful thing because I don't know about for you, but like for me, like you said, I didn't think I was pretty in high school. Like I had low self-confidence. Like
Mm-hmm.
I never really had a lot of girlfriends. Like
Same.
and when I joined the trades, like that validation, it also gave me like a confidence that I
Of
never even
course.
knew I could have. Like, I used to never even leave the house without makeup. Like, I would be too scared to be like, no, I'm so ugly, I can't. But then my first day on a job site, like, I woke up, rolled out of bed, like, no makeup, went to work. And like you said, them guys still hit on me.
Nice. Yeah.
I was still the hottest bitch in the city as far as they're all concerned at that
Right?
point.
Right?
Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It definitely is good for the confidence, but on the other end, I definitely see what you're saying. I definitely always had a rule to never date my coworkers, and I'm really glad I never did. But I did like date my own trade, like not someone I even worked with. And I don't think
Yeah.
I will ever even do that again. Like,
Well, that's sorry to interrupt you, but that's kind of like where I was coming from in that sense where I'm like, I wouldn't want to date anyone that's not my trade. I would not want to date anyone that doesn't know and can do what I do. I don't want to feel more masculine than my
yeah,
partner. I'm a very masculine woman as it is. I'm very alpha. I
yeah,
am. Everything about me screams that. And so when I have a man that like can't keep up with what I do, it just gives me the ick. And so therefore
same,
I'm
low key.
yeah, like I'm just drawn to someone that can do, and I'm not biased. Like I would date, like I was talking to a pipe fitter not that long ago.
See, well,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. I could do an iron worker, but not another pipe fitter or pipe welder. I think
yeah,
because I feel like there needs to be a little bit of a separation. Otherwise, it becomes too much. Like, especially
yes, yes, I
it's
agree.
just like every partner I've had that's in the trades or was a welder, they know I am too, and they're excited about that. So then that's all they want to talk about all the time. And sometimes it's
Oh,
like, can we talk about something else? But that just might be the narcissistic men that I've dated. Like,
see, let me play devil's advocate here. I feel like I'm like that, but like
are
reverse.
you
I'm the one that always wants to talk about that because that like
you
welding
have
is what
someone
I'm
to
the
relate
most
to?
yeah, it's what I'm the most
Yeah.
passionate about. So if I like meet a guy that like can also weld, it's literally all I want to talk about. And for some reason, to me in my brain, I'm like, oh, it's better that we talk about things we're interested in than fight. I guess.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, like I remember, but on the other side of things, I do remember I was talking to this boy that welded last year, and I remember having almost like that competitiveness,
Yeah, no.
like yeah, like he would come home from work and be like, "Well, I did this at work," and if I didn't do something as cool as him, or if I didn't weld that day or whatever, I would almost have this like resentment,
Or you'd feel like less than, or
less
yeah.
than yeah.
No, I get that. I do
So
because I've been there too.
yeah, but that's the kind of glory about being like a double trade. Like you're a pipe fitter welder, I'm an ironworker welder, so it's like
Mhm.
you can you can find like if you were to find like I don't know, for me, like I could talk to an iron worker and be able to separate the welding and
Yeah.
then talk about and then or also date like a welder and be able to talk about ironworking and like separate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. So but yeah.
definitely.
But yeah.
So, how often have you ever worked with any other women? Do you ever see other women on job sites?
So it's very dependent on what I'm doing and where I am. So for example, last year was when I was working at that hospital, when I was working for that company, I'm pretty sure I worked with 5 other women. And it was amazing. I'd never worked with that many girls before. We all had a little girl gang and it was great. They were all great welders. A couple of them were iron workers. And yeah, I mean, I personally love working with women. I think that it can be pretty hit or miss. Sometimes you'll get the occasional bad apple who just kind of does her own thing and doesn't really want to fuck with anyone, but that's okay, to each their own. But definitely embracing the minority is always fun. Like when you just like have that clique of girls that you run with them and you're kind of like fuck the men type stuff. It's
Yeah,
fun. But honestly, doing what I do specifically, I don't really run into that many women. I haven't worked with another woman since, yeah, when I was out of town working that union job since like March. I hadn't worked with, and even then, she wasn't like us. She was,
right.
yeah. So no, I really don't work with that many women. It's very hit or miss. I've had bad experiences with some women actually. I think one of the first girls I ever worked with at the first trailer shop I worked with, she was not very nice to me. She like talked a bunch of crap about me behind my back. And I was like, oh, this sucks. You come into the trades and you think that like someone who's supposed to have your back and like
Right.
stand up for you and like, be like women warriors to you and is literally the one who's like talking crap about you. It's so shitty. But yeah, in welding school right now, there's 4 other girls in my class, which
That's
is awesome.
awesome. I
So
love to
awesome.
see that.
Yeah, they're awesome. None of them are iron workers though. They're all shop girlies, but good for them. They would probably weld circles around me with MIG because I haven't welded MIG in years. So
Some of the women fabricators I know
oh
are
yeah.
so talented because,
Hmm.
and they got the aluminum welding
Oh
is
yeah, yeah. I can.
that shit is hard and they can just lay dimes, bro.
I
I'm like,
know.
I wish I would really like to practice aluminum. That's why I need to get my home shop set up.
Yeah, yeah. I welded aluminum. That was actually one of the first processes I ever got to do when I was out of school in that trailer shop, welding aluminum
Oh
subframes. And
yeah.
I hated it. I actually hated it. It was so hot, and like
It's
the arc that it would give off. If you didn't have every single piece of your skin covered, you were charred.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the I hate any type of welding where you have to wear a respirator. So yeah, wasn't really my thing.
When I went on that welding TV show, Top Welder in Texas,
Oh yeah.
I had never aluminum welded in my life, and I had to learn that morning from my teammate.
Wait, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I've always really wanted to go on that show. It's one of my goals. And when I saw you and Miss Wells on there, I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it.
They had
How did
asked
that happen for
me,
you?
how did it happen?
Yeah, like did they reach out to you?
They take suggestions from previous contestants. So I'll let them know you're interested when they reach out. But her name is Bailey. I can't think of her at right now, but she's another pipe welder and she had been on a previous season and she recommended me and like they flew me out, paid for my hotel, paid for me to park my car at the airport here in Michigan, paid for
What?
all our food, like got us snacks. But like I watched every season before I
Yeah,
went on that show and it
yeah,
was all MIG or stick. Like they never TIG welded, which like I can TIG the shit out of carbon and stainless. I
yeah.
just did not expect it to be aluminum. But like I don't know, I went to that show just with the intention of having fun and then meeting everyone because like me and Dr. Welds were friends on social media like prior to that and then
Hmm.
I always like followed Miss Welds and really looked up to her and enjoyed her content. So just like meeting them alone was like really awesome. Like so I was like I'm going to meet great people, have fun and learn as much as I can. So but it was super fun. It was busy. It was fast.
How
And
long were you there for? Like the whole shebang?
I was there for 3 days and we filmed all 3 episodes in one day. It was like a 10-hour day of filming. And like, yeah, it was in Houston, Texas. Luckily, it was in November. So it was at least to
Was it
like,
hot?
it was still like 90 humid. Yeah, it was so hot, but yeah, it was fun though. It was a really good experience.
So, was there like a winner from that show, or do you know yet?
Dr. Weld's won. I can
Oh,
definitely say now because it's all been aired, but he won. He won a welding machine and he already had one, so he gave it to his teammate who was like all the welding school instructors. They paired us up one from each like welding school branch. And I'm pretty sure he ended up giving it to his teammate. So I'm like, that's really cool of him. Like,
I had a, maybe you can tell me if this is a scam. I had an email from like a company, Arc Captain. Have you ever heard of them?
I have not.
Okay, so it's just like, hi, the blonde welder. This is blah 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 from Art Captain, a leading welding company with strong sales on Amazon and Google. I came across your content and really enjoyed it. I've collaborated with many YouTubers like Make It Custom and Make and Test from the US to Canada to Australia. And now we're looking to expand our TikTok, blah blah blah. They just have this machine, Arc Mig Tag Cut, all functions included. I know you receive a lot of business invites, so thank you for taking the time to read our message. Wishing you continued success. So I don't get it. Like, are they gonna like send me a what? Because I replied and I was like, okay, thanks for reaching out. Like, do you want to make up an offer or like what? Like, I'm trying to get a free welding machine, dude.
Let's go. Give me
Yeah,
the free welder. Hey, it
yeah.
wouldn't hurt to try it. They do make like some cheap ass welding machines, so it really wouldn't surprise me if there's one on the TikTok shop that like they're trying to send people for free to like promo.
Hey,
So
fuck it. I'll test it out. I need a free welder.
if it welds, it welds, I
It
guess.
welds, yeah.
It'll
But
probably be like Harbor Freight quality, but hell, that's fine.
probably. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't know if this is like if you're like okay to talk about this, but honestly, probably one of my like most thought about questions for you has been like, have you run into anyone on a job site that has seen your spicy page?
There's tons of people that work for my company that are on the
Because
spicy page as subs. Yeah.
I have thought about it for a while because I know that you can make so much extra money off of it, and it's probably one of the biggest or the most comments I get in my comment section is start an OF, waiting for you to start an OF, and I literally want to so bad, but I genuinely commend you for your confidence because I don't know how you go to work and because we already know how bad it is being a girl. So like seriously, how did you gain the confidence to start doing that?
I don't know how I go to work on a daily basis anyways because like anyone who knows me, I struggle with mental health. I have
Of course.
really 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 bad anxiety. Like terrible anxiety. And so even like going to work normally before any of that like was scary, and honestly like part of it that helped was going viral on TikTok and on Instagram because like once 16 million people see your video and you get roasted by like all these strangers on the internet anyways, it's like I don't know. And then
Kind of feels
like
like it doesn't matter.
and like you were saying, I don't have like a relationship with my mom's dead and I don't have a
Yeah.
relationship with my dad. So I'm like, who am I going to disappoint? I mean, and then the little bit of family that I do have, they're like proud of me because I'm living my best life and
Yeah.
traveling and I'm a
Yeah.
homeowner and
Yeah, and
like
congratulations by the way.
thank you. But it's just like, I don't know. For me, it got to a point that I was like, it's stupid of me not to profit off this. And you do not have to take off all your clothes on OF. Like, you could always just post like cute, like little
Like lingerie or
lingerie
like bikini,
photos,
yeah.
and I know girls that do that. And I don't want to say it's a scam, basically, but
Hey,
like,
well, people will pay for anything nowadays.
literally,
Yeah.
like, and at that point I'm like, hell, you might as well like get your bag. But it
Yeah.
is, for me it was worth it. Like it was part of what helped me buy my house in this like terrible economy. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and like honestly, that's just the power of the internet nowadays, and anyone would be a fool to like not just get their bag, and I fully commend you and anyone who's like doing it. I wish I had the confidence. I don't know. I just get like I think maybe for me like I don't want to say I'm like popular, but a lot of men do know me in the industry, even just being in it for 5 years. Like
No, same.
yeah, and like I'm 6 foot tall, I'm blonde, I'm blue eyed. That as it is, there isn't a lot of girls like me in the trades.
Yep.
The standard or whatever you want to call it would men think it's like a short butch girl. And
I
when
was
they
just telling my coworkers that I'm like, I need to gain 100 pounds and cut off all my hair, and then
hair,
I'll be the stereotypical construction woman.
yeah, and like I don't think that I will. I can't even afford tattoos, but like I'm trying to get there. I got a few, but I'm like I'm still way far away from like the stereotypical trades person, but I got it in the mouth. I can fucking talk like one.
Yeah, it's the attitude that
It's the
matters
attitude.
anyways. Let's
Yeah.
be real. That's what gets you where you need to be is the
Yeah.
attitude.
Exactly. But it always like throws, I think, people off seeing me because I just like don't look anything like it. But I don't know, I try to just like break that barrier almost and just be like, yeah, you can still be like a pretty skinny girl and do this shit.
Yeah, I think that's why representation on social media is so important, and that's why I
Exactly.
love any of us that do what we do and put ourselves out there and post,
Yeah.
like, because I know I've got so many comments from women that are like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see a woman
Yeah.
actually doing this because that's what I want to do." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "And you can do it,
Yeah.
like, you got this."
Yeah, no, I referenced one of your videos one time when I was talking. I replied to a bunch of comments and I was like, and Hunter, some welding girl, talks about it. Like when she joined the trade, she was like 5'6" and 110 pounds, and I'm like, same. I started the trades pretty much like as skinny as I am now, but like
Mhm.
I like nobody is making you huck 100 unless you're like literally getting treated the worst as an apprentice. No one's making you do that shit that they think that they're making you do, and
No,
it's like anyone will help you. Mechanical advantage, the men will help you. Like the men
yeah,
want to help you, whether they say they don't, they want to help you because it feeds their ego.
it does. Yes.
So like they will help you. Like I hate to say it, but even on days where like I don't feel like carrying my welding cables, someone will. Like it's just I feel like women have this fear where they just like they think that they can't do it. I get it. When I my first day as a laborer, I texted the girl who hired me and I was like, I'm so scared. I don't know what to do. Like, is it going to be hard? And she was like, no, show up. You're fine.
Yep.
And everybody will take care of you. And I don't know. I feel like a lot, it's easier said than done, but I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions is just like, oh, it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
labor. Yeah, it's not an office job. You're going to break a nail, probably, but like, it's not as bad as everyone thinks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely, when I started, I had to take the word can't out of my
Oh, yeah.
vocabulary pretty much. Like, because if I was like, hell, I can't do this, like, I would not have made it. Like, I
No.
had to find a way. I had to use my little 100-pound body and like find leverage and
Yep.
learn how to do stuff in a way that worked for me. And like you said, we have equipment, we have
Yeah.
tools, like, you know, 40 pounds is normally the most that you really need
Yeah.
to be able to lift,
Yeah.
like, and if you can't even lift that, if you work up to it in the trades, you'll be strong enough within
Hmm.
6 months to be able to lift
Yeah.
40 pounds.
And some days are better than others. Like I have days where like I'm shaking trying to do an overhead weld, trying to hold up the
Yeah.
cables. And then I have some
Overhead at welding is terrible.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
shaking just thinking about it.
Dude, I gotta do 5G next week. Like which is like it's like overhead and then vertical and then flat. So we gotta start on your knees and then go all the way up. And oh
Hmm.
my god, like I'm such a bad overhead welder, dude.
It's not fun.
I'm
It is
horrible.
not fun.
Yeah. But
Especially, well, like welding on your knees all the way stretched out. Oh,
yeah.
no. Hate.
So, what are the like pipe welding requirements in the States? Because I think it's a little different in Canada. Like it's really, really hard to get your pipe ticket here. You have to do your A level here now to get your pressure ticket to weld pipe. So I can't even be a pipe welder yet, even if I wanted to right now. I still have to go and do another level of school, and then you have to pay like $1,000 to do your PWP pipe test.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We have to, our certs are through AWS. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure it's called the American Welding
Yeah.
Society. And to cert out TIG on pipe, all you have to do is pass a 6G schedule 160. So the pipe's like this thick.
That's on the 45, right?
Yeah, and it's a super coupon. It's like, it's a lot
That's
of
hard.
passing.
That's hard.
Yeah. And then stick is the same way. You have to do that with a 60-10 all uphill. And then 70-18 hot pass fill cover. And it is a fucking nightmare. And I didn't go to welding school. I taught myself in our
That's
shop, like,
crazy.
and learned from other welders. Like it was hard, and stick is still something that I struggle with and that I work on getting better at, because if
Yeah.
I can just TIG shit out, I will. Like, I don't want to get burned up, let's be real.
Yeah, well, no, and even to be able to say like you're a great TIG welder, like I've seen your
Yeah.
welds, and like that's something I can't even do. Like I'm a good stick welder because it's the only welding I really do as a structural welder,
Yeah.
and like I thought coming into my course that I would be like a great welder, I'd be like passing everybody because I've been doing it for so long, and like I thought that there would be a lot of people in my class who are just like 6 months out of their foundations program, which is only that's the only amount of hours you need to do your B level, which is what I'm doing, but I've been out of school for 4 years. But man, these kids are like I'm behind. Like I'm struggling welding pipe is not easy.
No, it's round, and I didn't know that. Like, I learned on pipe, like I started on pipe, like, so I never knew that it was like more difficult.
No, and like I wish I had like the luxury like that you have just being able to learn in a shop. Like I would kill to have like a pipe shop just like I would, you know what, if a pipe shop wanted to hire me right now for $25 an hour just to teach me,
Any
I would
pipe shops listening?
any pipe shops in Kamloops, BC, if you'd like to hire a young female apprentice, I really want to learn and
She's ready to
get
learn.
good at pipe because I want to be able to take my pipe pressure test, but the shit is so hard. If they don't like your tax, they will kick you out. If they
That's
don't like your tax,
crazy.
they will literally send you home, $1,000 gone, bye bye. They do not mess around here. It's crazy. Like, I never knew how hard. Like, pipe, that kind of explains why there's not a lot of pipe welders in BC. And pipe welders in BC and in Alberta make insane money. And now I get why.
Yeah,
Because, like, it is so hard. It's so hard.
it
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. I think we had a very good
Yeah.
chat today.
Yeah.
Thank
Almost an
you.
hour.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And
Yeah.
in the future, I'll probably have you come back and we'll do another talk and update and see how things are going.
I would love to. For everyone listening, please go check out my website, theblondewelder.com. I am selling stickers. I also have a membership page where you can subscribe and see behind the scenes content of me welding, as well as you can go check out my Instagram, my TikTok, the blonde welder.
And I'll make
Thank you.
sure I put all her links in the bio for this episode so you guys can easily find her. And thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me on. And
Of
congratulations on
course.
finally getting the pod going. Very happy
Thank
for you, and I'm
you.
so excited for your success.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of it.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. We will talk to you soon, girl.
Okay. Bye bye.